You're listening to the Third Coast Gridiron on the LSG Network with your host, Marc Henry.
Well, it's that time of year. Crucial time, turkey time, holiday time. Is your team playing and practicing after Thanksgiving? That's what we're here to talk about here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron, H-Town's podcast. I'm your host, Marc Henry. We're going to talk about the third round of the playoffs. We got some matchups that I think we definitely are going to be keeping an eye on. We'll talk a little bit about some top performers from the area round, and then we're going to dive right into the third week of the playoffs. That's what it's going down to be. I'm telling you, it's going down, baby. It's going to be real. We're going to talk about it right here on the Lone Star Gridiron Network, the authority for high school football in the state of Texas. We're going to take a small break real quick, and then we're going to come back. We'll dive into a couple of top performers, and then we're getting straight at week 3. It's turkey time. Happy holidays from everybody here at the Third Coast Gridiron. We'll be right back.
Lone Star Gridiron is looking for interns. Over the years, we have helped dozens of students get jobs in sports media. If you want to shortcut your path to a career in sports media, click on the internship link on LoneStarGridiron.com.
Let's talk about it, man. The area round, we covered a few games that we thought were going to be some big ones, man. A couple of upsets, not just in the H around the state, but, man, I've been talking about Summer Creek as one of those teams that I thought that could make a run. And, we're going to dive into their matchup this week. But they had a big win over Manville. But, hey, don't forget about those North Shore Mustangs. Now, we're talking about Summer Creek and North Shore because they're coming out of the same district. But, 27-0 was the ending finale in that district, and they shared the spotlight, they shared the district title. But North Shore came into the game against Ridgepoint, which is a team I admit that I had talked about coming out of this region in 6AD1, but it's been there and done that. When you're on the east side of things, man, like North Shore is, they've been there and done that, and they really took it to Ridgepoint 31-7. They're battle tested. Like we talked about last week, Ridgepoint was ranked number 3 in the state at the time. Of course, the Mustangs fall at the end of the year or the end of the regular season. But as long as you got Caleb Merritt under center, man, there's a difference maker right there. And you just have to watch this guy ball out. He has more than 3,000 total yards, 33 touchdowns on the season, and they keep it rolling. They got Cy Falls this week. Man, the east side is just they ready to go, man. The Big Red Machine, of course, Katie, been there and done that. All phases of the game, they took care of business against Memorial in a 48-7 victory. They rushed for over 300 yards and 6 tutties, man, averaging 7 yards a carry. Been there and done that. David Aluto Judah had 3 interceptions. He had 7 on the year. I'm telling you, the Big Red Machine is quietly one of those teams that definitely, it might be flying under the radar to everybody else, but we always know that these guys have that pedigree, and we'll talk about their big matchup here in a sec. Johnny Abear, man, has just been balling out of control. The straight Jesuit stars, man, he's on his way to 8,000 career yards in his career, man. 443 total yards, 350 on the ground, 7 touchdowns. And they beat a game Lamar team. Listen, Lamar gave them everything that they could handle, but they got the victory. They got a big matchup this week. We're going to dive into that. But Johnny Abear has been playing at a high level, and we've been talking about him as one of those guys, that you have to account for. You got to find a way to stop him if you're going to beat straight Jesuit. But he just seems to get stronger and stronger as the weeks progress. It's a Houston commit. He's the total package when it comes to running backs. And he's one of the best in the state. He's rising up there as one of the best in the country for sure. But I think that this guy, we know that he is a TD waiting to happen whenever he touched the football. Now, we mentioned Summer Creek along with North Shore right at the beginning, and one of the two, or probably the best duo coming out this year, Noah Spinks and Benny Easter, are starting to dominate when they get on the field together. You know what I'm saying? The 72-35 victory over Manville, we talked about that. Spinks was 16-33, 457 yards and 8 tutties. And Easter, man, shout out to my guy Ben Easter Jr. He committed to Texas Tech last week, 6 catches for 252 and 5 tutties. He averaged over 42 yards of reception. Come on, man. I'm telling you guys, You've heard it here. You've heard me talk about it. If you go back and listen to the shows, man, I've been talking about Summer Creek as that team. I think Spinks is the difference. They've always had athletes. They've always had guys that went on to play at the next level over at Summer Creek. But somehow, some way, Spinks has come in there and leveled the playing field and kind of streamlined everything. And Coach Harrison has him something that he hadn't had, in the last couple of years, and that's a true QB that distributes the football to his playmakers, man. He's passed for 3,221 yards and 38 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. Completion percentage last game, 69%. He's balling, man. Shout out to both of those guys. I think that they are on their way for sure. But let's talk about a couple guys that we want to talk about before we get into the games. At Timothy Potts for Seed King has been consistent. They took care of Shadow Creek in a 51-6 victory. Seed King is strong. Right now, I see everything pointing to a possible rematch with Summer Creek, but they both have to get past their opponents, which are coming out of the Katy district. But, Potts has been balling, man. 18-22 with 255 yards and 4 tutties. Man, he's thrown for 31 touchdown passes this season. He's been balling. I had a chance to see them against North Shore, and he played a phenomenal game. The score didn't say how he played, and he was really consistent, and he was really, playing at a high level. And I think he's a big reason that the 10-2 Seed King Panthers have a chance to make come out of this region. You know what I'm saying? But they got a big one against Jordan this week, and we'll talk about that before we get out of here today. Patrick Spann, shout out to Joe. Speaking of Jordan, Patrick Spann's been balling, man. He had 195 yards and 4 touchdowns, 17 carries, over 11 yards a clip, and also a receiving touchdown in a big win for the Warriors, 49-29 over Stratford last week in the area around. He's been balling, man. I think that this guy is a guy that you got to get eyes on. I had a chance to meet him in the offseason, and I saw these things coming. He just needed an opportunity, man. Kamarian Wiggins over at Bay City, man. The Black Cats, 34-19 victory over LBJ, which was one of the better teams in the state, coming out of Austin, man. Now, he only had 7 attempts, but all were in for completions and a touchdown. You know what I mean? He's been a guy that we've been talking about. If you go back and listen to the show, he's been one of those players that's been bubbling over there at Bay City, and he has them going on to the next round. Trip Davis over at Barbers Hill, man, he's been a go-to receiver all season long, 7 catches for 176 yards and 2 tutties. Kalen Stevens over at College Park. Listen, I talked about College Park as a team coming out that could possibly make a run to sneak up on people. They've been balling this year. He's been one of the reasons for sure. 256 yards and a touchdown in a big win, 44-11 over Side Lakes to advance to taking on the DeSoto Eagles out of the Dallas area. We're going to come back and talk about some of these matchups. Who's practicing after Thanksgiving or who's practicing on Thanksgiving? Who's getting their turkey ready and then they go home and eat, man, early in the morning on Thanksgiving? We're going to talk about that and more right here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. I'm your host, Marc Henry. We'll be right back.
Hey, do you need topsoil, fill dirt, sand, mulch, gravel, limestone, you name it? Do you need that delivered and or spread? Texas Tree Cycle in Victoria has you covered for residential and commercial projects, big or small. These guys do it all. They do some amazing work. You can call them at 361-237-8006 for a free estimate. That's Texas Tree Cycle, bringing quality materials to your yard.
Man, happy holidays to everybody, man. Let's dive right into it. These teams are going to be practicing on Thanksgiving, getting ready for the matchups they have this weekend. Let's start North Shore, Cypress Falls. North Shore's coming in at 10-2, Cypress Falls at 9-3. Of course, we know that everything starts on the center for the Mustangs with Caleb Maryland. He's one of those guys that you have to account for. He's the catalyst on the offensive side of the football. And listen, the Mustangs have been doing this for a decade or more. This is their 14th regional semifinal, 14 consecutive. With a win over Cypress Falls, they secure a 10th straight trip to the regional final, man. I'm telling you, this is phenomenal, man. It shows that, when you have talent and you develop it over there in the east side, this is what they do. You know what I'm saying? I think that they have a big chance to get out of this region now. They beat Ridge Point, who I thought, on paper, they had one of the better teams in the state. They came into that game ranked number 3. But, it's when you see the consistency of, the coaching staff, Coach Willie Gasson. He's been at the forefront of doing these things for years over there. He was on the staff, when they won, consecutive back-to-back state titles, man. But listen, Cy Falls they have every right to be there. You know what I'm saying? Darian Simpson has been playing at a high level at the running back position. They rushed for 322 yards, total against Cinco Ranch, almost averaging 9 yards a clip. Gabriel Wilson is another playmaker for those guys. Cameron Colvin on the defensive side had 2 interceptions. They're going to give North Shore everything they can handle. But in the matchups head-to-head, North Shore's got the edge 2-0. So, that's going to be a big game. I think North Shore will be the favorite for sure. But, at this time of the year, everybody's good in the playoffs, man. Now, let's talk about the Dickinson Gators. Shout out to my guy, Lorenzo Aguiar. He's been playing at a high level. I think he's moving himself up and not just been one of the better quarterbacks in the Houston area, but definitely in the state. Of course, Straight Jesuits, we talked about Johnny Hebert, the outstanding running back, U of H commit. Dickinson's going to have to have every hat to the ball with this guy because he can spring it. And that offensive, listen, you got to give their offensive line, the credit that it's due for opening holes for this guy. But on the other side, Dickinson has one of the best backs in the Houston area in Malachi Gamble, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? If they can get him going and control that clock, of course, Lorenzo's going to do what he does with the ball in his hands. He's one of the best passers in the state. Forget Houston. He's proven it. Turn the tape on. You know what I'm saying? Quick release, sees the field well. He makes great decisions. He doesn't turn the football over. And Dixon's got some explosive athletes on the outside. Of course, Royce Bemidge is one of the best cornerbacks in the country. You know what I'm saying? On that defensive side of the ball for Dickinson, they're not going to throw his way. They just, he's a lockdown, shutdown corner. They're not going to throw Bemidge's way. But this is going to be a close one, man. I like, if I had to pick, I like Dickinson in this game. I think they have the speed and the guys on the defense to control it. But if Hebert is running wild, they're in trouble. It's going to be a long night. Katy and Summer Creek, we hinted on this one a little bit earlier. Of course, the Big Red Machine is a Big Red Machine. But Summer Creek, I see them coming out of this region. I had talked about it earlier in the year. With Noah Spinks under the center, man, I think that gives them a chance to, put up points, put up numbers. Of course, Benny Easter Jr., man, listen, he's phenomenal. Phenomenal talent, big physical wide receiver that can play in the slot. He excels at runs after catch, and Spinks is finding him like, he's finding a needle in a haystack. These guys have been a phenomenal duo, probably one of the best duos in the state. But Tremaine Hill for Katy is the guy that's going to get it done. I think Katy will try to control the tempo with the running game, keep that explosive offense off the field for Summer Creek. Should be a great game. But if I had to lean, I'd be leaning towards Summer Creek a little bit just because I think that they can put up more points. And Katy's kind of one of those teams they want to pound you, and then hit you with, the big play over the top. So, I definitely think this is going to be a great game, and we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Now, first DFW H-Town matchup, man. You got DeSoto, College Park, man, over in Cedar Park, man, like towards the Austin area. 6A D2 matchup. This is a game. I'm telling you right now, the Cavaliers have been playing at a phenomenal level. They took care of business against Side Lakes 44-11, average of 51 points or more a game, 457 yards, almost 458 a game offensively. Camden Hughes has been the guy. Over 2,600 yards passing, 36 touchdowns. But this is DeSoto. And if you have not seen DeSoto, I have had a chance to see him. And you got to look at Sarad Baker. Write that name down. Google him, write it down. Sarad Baker's one of the best football players. Forget running backs. Best football players in the state of Texas in the junior class. Double-digit offer guy. Speed. Just a dog with the football in his hands. He will run you over if he gets the opportunity. But he has the speed to break the big play. And, of course, you can't not talk about the USC commit and Ethan Boobie Feaster. And I got to think, out of all of this, DeSoto's quarterback Legend Howell has been playing at a consistent high level. They had a hiccup early in the year. They lost to North Crowley, and a lot of people around the state were wondering what's going on with DeSoto. I happened a chance to see them, and I thought that after the loss in Georgia, that they corrected their wrongs and they kind of got themselves together. When I saw them play North Crowley, I thought that this team is back, and they'll be fine. And so far, I think it's been coming out that they're doing fine. You know what I mean? But, hey, you got to see what it happens on, this is why they play the game, is what they call it, man. You know what I'm saying? The next matchup, DFW, H-Town, Klein Collins runs up against the Duncanville Panthers. Now, we all know that Duncanville's a powerhouse in the state. We all know that Duncanville's going to have some Division I talent on this team. But listen, Klein Collins, they got just as much talent. Senior Braden Scroggin, listen, he's been playing at a high level. 9 of 12, 193 yards and 3 touchdowns, 66 yards on the ground, and a score in a big victory over the Woodlands in the area around. Of course, a lot of people like the Woodlands to come out of this region. But when you play Duncanville, you got to be ready to go. You know what I'm saying? KJ Ford, Landon Barnes on the edge, Braylon Edwards. I think that these guys know that they can play at a high level. Manning at linebacker. Victor Lincoln, one of the best cornerbacks in the state. You're going to have to prove it, and you're going to have to go to take down Duncanville. You're going to have to be the big bully. But I hate to say it, but I like Duncanville in this game just because they have one of those defenses that can travel. Another intriguing matchup, you got the Waxahachie Indians coming from the DFW area in Cy Ranch. The Waxahachie Indians, they're a tough team. Texas commit, Cohen Brown's a dual sport or a dual position athlete, let's say it like that. He plays at the cornerback position, he plays wide receiver, returns kicks. He's going to be a guy to keep an eye on, but I think that Taylor Strange, the running back, has got to be a guy that you need to know about. The sophomore running back for Waxahachie has been phenomenal. But that defense took on North Forney last week, which had one of the better players in the state in Legend Bay, the Ohio State committed. They did a phenomenal job.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it. Families share it. And your program benefits. Get the free information kit at LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. That's LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.
Lone Star Gridiron is looking for interns. Over the years, we have helped dozens of students get jobs in sports media. If you want to shortcut your path to a career in sports media, click on the internship link on LoneStarGridiron.com.
Caden Tollison, Hector Calderon III. You got Marshall on the edge. I mean, this team is loaded defensively. But Cy Ranch, they got some guys too. Vickerson, I mean, it's one of the best interior defensive lineman in the state in the 2027 class. I like this game. Willis heads up to the Star in the Dallas area to take on Forney, which is led by all-everything running back and Notre Dame commit Javion Osborne. Of course, Willis is countering that with the best player in the country, or one of the best players in the country, Texas commit Jermaine Bishop Jr. He plays wide receiver. He plays, corner. I mean, this is a guy that can get it done. But this is a big matchup. But now Willis makes that trip. This will be their third trip in a row, or second trip in a row that they made it up to the Star. I know they played DeSoto a couple years ago down in San Antonio. These guys are battle tested. That should be a good game. C. King and Jordan, we talked about this game as well. We talked about Potts at quarterback. We talked about, that C. King and the Panthers have, an opportunity to come out of this region, but they got to take care of business here. You know what I'm saying? Barbara Hill takes on Pflugerville Weiss. Listen, Pflugerville Weiss has one of the best young quarterbacks in the state of Texas, and Jackson Shatter. If you don't know this guy, get him on your radar. He's only a sophomore, but he's playing at a high level. He can spin it. This is a very good Pflugerville Whites team. This is the deepest they've been in a while. Barbers Hill, of course, is Barbers Hill. Definitely a game we'll keep an eye on. Randall and Bastrop, this game's going to be PV, man. Shout out to Coach Jackson and the staff over there for opening up PV. He said this when he took over the job, that he was going to really make an attempt to match some high school football, some playoff high school football at PV, and they knock it out the park with this one. The Randall Lions are the Randall Lions. Of course, Landon Williams-Callens is a guy, in my opinion, the best junior running back in the country. You know what I'm saying? One of the best, if not the best. They got a big one with Bastrop. They're coming in. They weren't looking for the upset. You know what I'm saying? Of course, the Randall Lions haven't lost a game yet. Iowa Colony and Brenham should be a barn burner. Carson White is back to his, playoff level or high level of football that he was playing before he got injured a few weeks ago. I like Iowa Colony in this game. Of course, Jaden Warren, Boogie Warren, shout out to my guy. Texas A&M commit now. This should be a great game. Crawford, man, and Alvin Mosley take on Longview Pine Tree. I think that should be a good game as well. Alvin Mosley is one of the best in the state, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Get this guy on your radar if you don't know who he is. Google him, man. Some of this you gotta sit down and take a look at it. Go turn on the tape. Alvin Mosley is that guy. Bay City heading to San Antonio or playing San Antonio Davenport, which is one of the highly ranked teams in the state of Texas. Definitely a game you want to keep an eye on. Lamarck and La Vega, man. I'm telling you, man. Jabari Thornton for Waco La Vega is one of the top players in the state. Maybe a lot of people know about. And Lamarck's been playing at a high level. Should be a barn burner of a game. Columbus and Franklin. Listen, Columbus, of course, been there and done that. Won a state title last year. Franklin's one of those teams around the state that you know about in 3A. I'm telling you, this should be a great game, man. Lots of great games. I expect to be, pulling up Friday. You know what I'm saying, man? Shout out to all the guys that made it to Thanksgiving. Of course, when you play high school football in the state of Texas, that's the goal, is to get to Thanksgiving, to get to practice on Thanksgiving, to get to wake up and go practice on Thanksgiving. But now you got there, but you got to continue to win. Of course, we're a few games away from the ultimate goal, which is state up in Arlington at Jerry World. It's about to go down. I'm your host, Marc Henry, here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. We'll get at you next week. We'll come back and see who made it through after Thanksgiving right here on the TCG, the Third Coast Gridiron. We out.
Coaches, boosters, parents, every sport deserves a spotlight. From football and volleyball to basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, track, wrestling, and more. Give your athletes a weekly coaches show that builds pride and raises funds. Lone Star Podcast Network makes it turnkey. You talk for a few minutes. We handle production and distribution. Sponsors love it. Families share it. And your program benefits. Get the free information kit at LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. That's LoneStarPodcast.com/coaches. Your team, your sport, your show.